In a shocking development, only after a year of premiership, Japanese Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga will be stepping down by the end of this month, setting the stage for a new premier slated to replace him. The Prime Minister's term was marred by an unpopular pandemic response. What we also know so far is that Suga won't run for the governing party leadership election either. Suga told executives of his ruling Liberal Democratic Party today that he will not run for leadership race set for September 29th. This means that his party will have to choose a new leader who will also become its new prime ministerial face.
私自身、新型コロナ対策に専任をしたい、そういう思いの中で、自民党総裁選挙には出馬をしない、こうしたことを私自身、出馬を予定する中で、このコロナ対策と選挙活動、こうしたことを考えたときに、実際、莫大なエネルギーがこれ必要でありました。そういう中で、やはり両立はできない。
The move left the Japanese political spectrum surprised. Ruling Liberal Democratic Party officials have said that Suga would finish his term as its president until his successor had been chosen in a party-wide election. The winner of the contest is all but assured of being premier because of the LDP's majority in the lower house. And according to the latest development, Fumio Kishida, a former foreign minister, is competing for the party leader's post. Kishida recently criticized Suga's coronavirus response and urged a stimulus package to combat the pandemic. While experts believe that he is top runner for PM's position, Administrative Reform Minister Taro Kono could run if he gets backing of his faction leader, Finance Minister Taro also, and former Defence Minister Shigeru Ishiba could run as well. Now remember, Suga had taken to power after Shinzo Abe resigned last September. He has since then seen his support ratings sink to below 30% as the nation struggles with its worst wave of COVID-19 infections. Japan is currently fighting to control the rise in infections and in its fifth and largest coronavirus wave driven by the Delta variant. Most of the country is under a state of emergency, which will continue till 12th of September. The country had recorded an all-time high of 25,892 COVID-19 cases. On 20th of August, the development takes place ahead of a general election, which the government has been considering holding on 17th of October. And for more on this, we're now being joined by our correspondent Phoebe Amoroso, who's joining us live from Tokyo. Thank you so much for joining us, Phoebe. Suga's approval rating stood below 30%. Could you just take us through some of the key reasons for the same? We know the pandemic response has been widely criticized, but other than that?
Well, it still remains unclear as to this decision from Prime Minister Suga. It was a very big surprise. Yes, he has been widely criticised for his pandemic response, and that's mainly due to the stop-start restrictions. Tokyo has been under a state of emergency for most of this year. It's been in and out, and now with the state of emergency being yet again expanded, 21 of Japan's 47 prefectures remain under a state of emergency, and just in the past couple of days, the government is now considering extending that even further to September. And it seems that this sudden decision from Prime Minister Suga comes from the fact that he wasn't able to shore up enough support within his own party. It's widely known that the cabinet is unpopular with the general public. Surveys show regularly that 30%, only the approval rating is only around 30%, and that's considered a critical threshold for danger to the administration. But within Prime Minister Suga's party, he was concerned about a lack of support. He was planning to reshuffle his cabinet ministers. In fact, he's very close to the Secretary General, Toshihiro Nikai, who's a long-standing member of the party. He's been there for years and years and years, and he's a very powerful figure, but he's not very popular. So Prime Minister Suga was planning to do this reshuffle, but clearly he saw the signs that he would not be able to shore up his support, and that's why we've seen this decision to step down.
Right. Also, Fumio Kishida, a former foreign minister, is now competing for the party leader post. What are the prospects of that?
Well, Kishida is considered the forerunner currently. He's been very vocal about his criticism of Prime Minister Suga's response to the coronavirus, saying a lot of things about it being too slow. He's announced that if he were to take over, he would get social and economic activities back to normal by early 2022. But he does not face a complete free run to the leader of the LDP. There are other candidates who could step forward. For example, Taro Kono, who is the minister in charge of administrative response, if he's able to get the backing of his faction leader, Finance Minister Taro Aso, he could be a very strong candidate. He's also been fairly popular with the public, although he's made some moves of late that may have damage that to some extent. However, it remains to be seen exactly how this election contest will play out.
Right, Phoebe. Also, talking about the current situation, Japan is currently fighting to control the rise in infections in its fifth and largest coronavirus wave, which is driven by the Delta variant. And in fact, this news also comes ahead of the general elections. So what can we expect going forward on these fronts?
Right, so the general election has been on the cards for many months. In fact, until this surprise announcement by Prime Minister Suga, it was expected that he might even call an election as early as April and May. He became the first foreign leader to meet with US President Joe Biden. There were high hopes for this US-Japan relationship and that Prime Minister Suga would call this general election in order to boost his power. But now that's off the cards. The date that has been floated is October the 17th. But due to the term expiring, it has to be called by the end of November. The LDP, as I mentioned, is suffering from low support among the Japanese public. However, it lacks credible opposition, and it has been almost continuously in power since its foundation several decades ago. So it may be likely that we see the LDP lose some seats. It has suffered some losses this year. It suffered a triple loss in by-elections in April, and most recently in the contest for the Yokohama mayor position, a very close ally of Suga lost out to the opposition. But analysts are saying currently it looks like the LDP will hang on to their position as long as they can also maintain the support of their coalition partner, Komeito.
All right, Phoebe, thank you so much for joining us with all the updates on that. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.